Good day. I'm going to announce that Australia is secretly the most powerful nation on earth. It is a superpower. Far beyond America, far beyond Russia or China, Australia is the most amazingly powerful group of people that's ever walked on this planet. They're so powerful, so amazingly powerful, they're causing the seas to rise. They can, and now their politicians imagine, or believe, they believe, because belief is a very important thing here, you have to believe. They believe they're going to affect the Pacific Ocean. It's a very strong belief, that is. It says beyond the belief in a God that affects a Pacific Ocean. It's been the old days. Now it's politicians and people in a nation called Australia that are going to affect the Pacific Ocean. I don't know if it can even affect a duck pond or even the water in a bath. That would be interesting to get them to see, like Dynamo the Magician, and concentrate on a bath of water and see if they can make it spin one way or the other. But that's only my cynicism towards these amazingly, obviously, new age deities that we have in Australia, that now not only do they believe that Australia is altering the Earth's climate, they also believe that Australia can stop a climate change. Now, it's hard, isn't it? 25 million people, that's all we are. Most of this land is empty, 90% is empty, or maybe more is empty of people, there's no one there. And yet, Australians now believe, or told we believe, that we can affect the global climate. And it's really, really odd when you reflect that China, with 1.4 billion people, and it will rise, it's estimated, to 1.8 billion people, that doesn't believe that it's affecting the seas and that, and it doesn't actually believe they can affect an ocean and stuff like that. I mean, yes, they do, with all the runoff from all the rivers and that and all what's in there. Obviously that affects the South China Sea and all of that. Of course it does, it always has done. And that's an environment that's been created over centuries. But the thing is, really, is we ought to concentrate on the idea that Australia is now a superpower, a God power. It's taken on a godlike power upon itself, or belief in itself, that it's causing islands to sink under the oceans. I mean, this is a thing. This is the odd part. If it admits, say in Torres Island, which has said, oh, we're going to sue the Australian government because their seas are rising. Now, if the government admits that the sea, if the government says, yes, we admit the sea, we are causing the seas to rise in the Torres Strait Islands, and therefore the sea basically rises evenly all over the world, given and taking a whole heap of variables, air pressure, wind pressure, and currents and stuff like that. You know, it's very difficult to measure actually what's rising or not. But the thing is, then all islands on Earth who are going below sea level can then sue Australia. It doesn't matter if it's the east coast of Scotland or wherever, east coast of America now, can then declare we are suing Australia for seas rising. Because Australia will, or does the government say, after they admit, no, Australia is not responsible for seas rising? It's now in a predicament, because taken up by its own, taking the mantle of a deity on is a really big responsibility. When you take the mantle of a deity on, that you're going to change the climate or be involved in altering the climate change, then you've taken rather a large, a very high stand. You've stood on the highest pedestal possible, that is, you, deity-like, are going to affect a global climate. And there's some sort of claim, really, to do that for 20, whatever. It's a very strange claim for people to make that. I haven't even got the telephones right yet in Australia, but they're going to affect the climate. Anyway, And the thing is, if they set a precedent where the Torres Strait Islands, which now said, oh well, you know, we're going to sue the Australian government because the seas are rising, and then the islands of the Pacific also. If the government admits that, then, and no other government does in the world, no other government says, well, and there's just people with billions of people over there, everywhere else, 7 billion people, everywhere else. We're only a small, tiny fraction of that. They're all going to say, look, it's all Australia's fault. They're admitting they're dirty like, and they're admitting, they're declaring they're going to affect the Pacific Ocean. So no one else has declared. No other nation on earth has made the claim that they're going to affect the Pacific Ocean. It's quite a substantial claim to make. I need to have an influence on the Pacific Ocean. Well, it's a very strange thing to say, but nevertheless they're making this claim publicly, and publicly going on record to say they're going to affect the people, they're going to have influence on the Pacific Ocean, or need to have influence on the Pacific Ocean. If you get a paddle and sit on the shores and wave a paddle, all the politicians will have a paddle each and steer the ocean one way, or sit in a, go out on a boat and all paddle, a stationary boat, and paddle the currents. They're going to actually sit there in the equatorial current and say, oh, we're going to make the current stronger or something like that, and by all sitting there paddling away and making a current there. That's what maybe they imagine they can do that, because that's what gods can do. Gods have got that sort of power. But there you go. If the Australians are now saying they can alter the climate and admit, instead of boasting about it, and that's what the election's all about. We can do more to alter the climate than other people. And no other nation on earth makes this claim, which is very odd. The smallest nation in the world, population-wise, makes the biggest claims on itself about climate. Very strange thing. Now they're saying, then admitting that you are involved with climate change then leaves you to worldwide liability from all the nations. You can get sued totally by every nation, including China or India or Bangladesh, and every other nation on earth can then sue Australia if it admits, and that it is doing, it's having this influence on the climate. Like if it admits that it's causing the seas to rise around the Torres Strait Islands, or does it then, and this is a funny thing, does it then have to stand and say, well, no, it wasn't us, and therefore deny and contradict all the claims they've made otherwise, that they're going to affect the climate? How do they then now have to go to court and either admit, yes, we're responsible for all the seas rising, or well, no, it's not us. No, we didn't mean it. It was just politics. And that's the question here. Because the fact they've taken the mantle of a debt on that we, Australia, 25 million people, are going to somehow influence global climate, influence global politics, is really a disturbing thought when you think about it, that these people are involved in running a country and running an economy and actually spreading this stuff to children. That's the sort of serious thing here. That we have to vote for them on this day. That's a troubling thing, because we won't be voting for these people claiming that Australia is going to somehow influence the Pacific. Because, you know, when you start saying, we're going to influence the Pacific, you've got to say, well, that's a troubled person. Can I make a claim as an individual? I'm going to influence the Indian Ocean. Yes, I've chosen to influence the Indian Ocean. If they're going to do the Pacific, only I can say I'm going to influence the Indian Ocean. Well, of course, you know, I'll be locked up. I'm not a politician. If I was a politician, I could say I'm going to affect the Indian Ocean, and I get cheers from the ABC, and everyone will cheer me. Oh, yeah, he's going to affect the Indian Ocean. Yeah, he's a brilliant man. He's a wonderful man. He's going to affect the Indian Ocean. He's going to change the climate. Normally, these people will be under some sort of in a place. There used to be a place called Callum Park in Australia, and places like that. We used to lock people up who made sort of claims like they were Nelson, or they were Jesus, or they were sort of, you know, whether they were Napoleon and stuff like that, right? And they've let them out. Now they've let them out into society. They've become politicians, and now they're claiming that they're gods that can control the climate and affect the Pacific Ocean. Have they ever flown over the Pacific Ocean and checked it out, how big it is? Very odd really, isn't it? Australia, the most powerful nation, most powerful bunch of people that's ever walked on Earth. We now have godlike powers.